Hi everyone. In light of what is happening right now, I just wanted to share some of my stories and perspective and my hope for the future generations and hopefully in my lifetime as well, but definitely future generations, my son generation, what I hope and wish for them. And just sharing some of the my own experiences with you. I was in elementary school when the revolution in Iran happened, and I was probably in first or second grade, and I still remember some of the images from that time. One particular one is that of our home shared a wall with a bank, and in the middle of the night, they came banging on our door to leave the house because rioters were coming and they intended to burn down the house. Well, not our house, the bank, that our house could be impacted as well. So my mom, my sister, and I, we ran down, and I could hear them behind us. I could see their torches, and we were just running, and we took refuge in a nearby hospital. And the other part I remember was that one of the times that my grandmother and uncle came home, and where they were at, riots broke out and they had to hide in the ditch. And of course, the news and everything that they were showing what was happening. So that all, in my view, the revolution, all the riots happened because of inequality in power and what was happening at that point in Iran. And I did live in an environment where there was prejudice, separation, you can say, about how women and men were treated. Definitely inequality of power there. Inequality of power for how people were treated with or without money. So definitely a status difference. And again, going back through our history, the differences you would hear in people's conversation about how putting a separation between Iranians and other cultures, countries that were around us because of thousands and thousands years of wars and everything that happened. So there was always the way I would hear people talk as a child. I felt the separation between us and our neighboring countries, Afghanistan, for example, and any Arab speaking country that was around us, and how they would speak that, the Arabs came and what they did to us. So I grew up hearing those things. And as a child, when you hear those things, you take that into consideration, and those stories do impact and you do feel it. Now, fast forwarding it, also when we were trying to come to the US, we had to go through Germany. And at that time, I was in sixth grade. And Germany at that time, because of, again, what they were going through in their country with the Turkish people, they had a lot of anger and hate toward the Turkish people. And because of the way we looked, so we were treated the same thing. Again, one significant thing that I remember during that time we were there, how scared and fearful I was, because I saw a story on the news of this man that just let his dog attack this kid and mom because they were Turkish, and then he didn't stop the dog just mauled him. And other stories on the news about fights like that. So again, I felt that because that's how we looked and how we were treated during our time there. Fast forward, we came to US, and again, when we arrived here, because of the time that the whole hostage situation had happened, and now I'm in about 7th grade, that's how kids and people treated us. They looked at those images on TV and saw me as those people that took Americans hostage. So there was their anger and hate for what happened there coming toward me and looking at me as I was the cause of that. So you hear generations of war between Persians and Arabs, as you want to call it, that whole separation, and people carried that hate and anger forward. People carrying, again, this is just from where my country was, those status changes in money, haves and have-nots. In Germany, again, the anger and hate of what was happening in their country and bringing that out. Coming to US, feeling that hate and anger of what had happened during the hostage situation, and me looking like them getting that. So sitting here now, I understand the reason, looking at the big picture, why those people had that hate and anger. And even as I got older here, definitely there was a difference there. Several times during different times of my life, I went with friends or at different age, college age, older friends from work, several trips to West Virginia. And again, the groups we were with, there were non-white friends, and it definitely was, you could feel. I remember again walking, we were all in a group walking, and there was a group of, this is when I was in college, and there was a family, and as soon as we were walking next to them, the lady just grabbed her kids and pulled her kids toward her. Or there was an incident of my friends going to a restaurant and not getting served, and they were waiting there. And many other stories like that. Even I remember, because of everything that they had told me when I came, I knew, like, every time if we got pulled over there, not to say anything to provoke the police to do anything. And again, even as a female, whether it was in Iran or here, when I graduated and started work, a lot of my jobs even, there was promotions that I got passed on because I was female and I wasn't part of the boys club. And if you let that hate and anger come and sit inside and bring darkness to your heart, then you start reacting the same way toward the other people. So if I had kept all of that in my heart, I would treat people the same way, and I would miss out on a lot of things. For example, again, there's a gentleman that when I moved into my house, he's from West Virginia, and he takes care of the trees, and I needed him to come. But if I had let my prejudice take over, my fear take over, when he would come, I wouldn't treat him, I would treat him different. I would put a barrier up. And this gentleman has helped me so much. So I would have missed, I can tell you, like, he's a big guy, white as you can get, and with an accent. And so the first time he came here, and all I did was just be me and not have my barriers and shields up. We've ended up, every time he comes here, he comes, gives me a big hug. We've talked about things, and I even remember he came here one time, and there was a friend here, and I could tell with his face, he was sort of like watching out for me, and he came back, he's like, "Is he a good guy?" I said, "Yes, he's a good guy, he's a friend, it's okay." He's like, "Okay, I was watching out for you." I've shared some of these stories in my other videos of a magic of the gentleman that came to inspect my roof, and again, from Alabama, big accent, and again, white as you can get. But if I had let my prejudices about where he was from or how he looked like affect me, I wouldn't be open. So this gentleman comes in and he's inspecting the roof, and then he turns around to me and says, with his thick accent, I asked, "Where you're from?" And I smiled and I said, "Yes, I'm originally from Iran." And then he broke out into, "Oh my God, I used to live in that region, not in Iran, but I always wanted to go there. I lived in Afghanistan for a while." And he was telling me about all the foods he liked, his experiences, and then he went into his childhood, his dad. So he was here for a good 2 hours telling me his life stories, and we exchanged a really good conversation, recipes. And there have been many more experiences like that, that just being open allowed the other person to let their guards down, and we just talked and had conversation. And all this is not what is happening or what has happened. There's no excuse for it. It is sad, it is horrible, and by all means, I want the people to stand up, let their voices be heard, help the organizations that fight injustices, inequalities, and do what's right in your heart for you. And along with that, I want you to start looking inside. The things that are happening, like I said, for when I was in, my fellow Iranians know this, when they talk, there is a separation again because of thousands of years of war in the past that had happened between the Persian Empire and the Arab Empire. They still talk about those things, and the way they talk about people from Arabic speaking countries. They have friends, don't get me wrong, if you say they don't, they say, we're not prejudiced. But again, in those conversations, you bring that out. And again, understandable of all those wars that happened. Those wars even happened because of the separation, power, and inequality. So generations and generations have passed down their fear, and that fear that caused the hate and anger inside of them, that caused many bad things to, during those times they talk about the rapes and the people coming, burning down homes. It was a time of war. What did you expect? But all those things happened because of fear, and that fear causing people to feel powerless against a group that had power over them. And this circle really just continues and continues, because if one group feels powerless, at some point they're going to stand up and they're going to speak up. And in that speaking up, if their anger is too much, if their hate is too much, that anger and hate causes violence to come out. And then another group takes over with power. And if one group has power, then the group that feels powerless again is gonna come overthrow this one. So it's a circle that keeps continuing. People, out of their fear, the fear that caused the anger and hate and feeling powerless, that cycle continues. So my feeling, the only way I see, alongside of you speaking up for yourself, for what you believe is right, what you feel is just, and along that, looking inside your heart and feeling if you carry any fear and any barriers inside of you, to try and release those so that you can bring light to darkness as well. And I've seen this shift happen so many times in my own life, and those that come in contact with me, and I've seen it in my clients' lives, that when one person starts shifting energetically and you vibrate at a higher level and at a level of love, and that you're putting your fears away and you have an understanding and acceptance of everyone around you, then everyone else around you starts to put down their guards and they try to go inside and change as well. So one person, like again, I've seen it, client comes in and I'm not working with their husband or their kids, but just my client changing and feeling better and moving in the light, then that change happens naturally in their home, with the kids, with the husband, and also anybody else that's around them. So the big picture alongside that you're speaking up, using your voice, again, even if you're doing that, do it from a place of love, do it from a place of light, not from a place of hate and anger. I know it's very hard right now to not have those feelings, but if you can, take a moment to speak up and bring about change from a place of love and light in your heart. And look to your home, look to your words with yourself, with your kids, with your family. Are you speaking from a place of fear? Are you speaking from a place of inequality, injustice, and or even hate and anger? And if you can, changing that from a place of love and light. And my hope really for the future generation, my son's generation and generations after him, is that we change to a point that there is no need, if everybody's accepting the other as themselves and loving everybody as they love themselves, and getting into a place where there isn't so much differences in power. And right now, again, part of that power is in terms of money and the belief system we've put around money, and how everyone feels that money gives them power. So if anybody not having money somehow in their life feel lack of power, and even that adds to this inequality and injustice. Again, becomes a power of people that have it and the people that don't. Their anger and frustrations are gonna keep mounting up, and they're gonna seek for power as well. So all that to say, I do hope that with everyone changing, I know actually it is a hope that we all start to look inside, we all start to make the change in ourselves and allow that change naturally to happen outside and into our families, into our communities, and into society. And by that happening, then we do change this world that we live in. It will not be a world of hate and anger and injustice and separation, but a world where we can all be together in love, respect, and acceptance and understanding. And it does seem at some points reality that we think is too naive maybe, but I still do have that hope and dream for everyone in my life and everyone who comes in contact with me. And because the more darkness we bring in, the darker things get, and the more light we bring in, the light will move away the darkness. I've experienced it in my own life that just by being open, by allowing people in, what a difference it has made. And some of my best magical experiences have been in those moments, and not letting my experiences cloud my reactions or block me from being open. Because in every one of those situations, if I had let the fact that I'm a woman, I'm dealing with a man, and that they might do something to me, because believe it or not, that's how I grew up. Even my friends always telling me, don't tell anybody when you're home alone and they come to your house to do some work. Or just by the fact that a person's skin color, or whether they had money or not, or their status, whatever, changed how I behave with them, I would not have all the magical experiences that I had. So the change really does happen with you. Allow that change to then spread to the people around you. Speak up for your truth. Use your voice, but do it from a place of love and acceptance, not a place of anger and frustration. Do it from your heart and begin the change inside of you to a place where you're more loving and understanding of yourself, and that will allow that to come out. And let's leave the fears. If that fear is what's causing us to have these barriers in the first place to protect. And if we make all these changes, that change will come about socially as well, in the people we have in the office, in the people we elect to represent us. There will be more like-minded with us, and they would be leading from a place of love and acceptance as well. So I know I went all over the place, but I just wanted to share some of my experiences, and hopefully that will help you guys in some way during this time. Sending you all much love and light and appreciation, and wishing you a wonderful week and better times for all of us. Thank you.